Hi everyone, welcome back to the Divine Feminine Energy channel. I hope you guys are doing great. In today's video, we're going to be looking into Capricorn, their beauty, their style, their aesthetic, and I'm going to be talking you guys through why it's so important or why it can be very good for alignment to consider your zodiac placements when it comes to embodying, more of your beauty and more of your aesthetic, like feeling more in alignment with that. We're going to be looking into some style tips, some examples, and just talk through some of my personal observations when it comes to the beauty and aesthetic and style that I've seen in Capricorn placements. Okay. All right. So basically, why do we start by looking at our sun, Venus, and rising? Well, I would really advise people to look at these planets because the sun is really our core identity, right? It's what we identify with, is what we feel most seen through. So often, your star sign, your sun sign can be something that you quite naturally identify with. So for a lot of people, the sun is very resonant with them, and it's also what we show out into the world. It's a masculine energy. It's what we show, and it also deals a lot with confidence, where we might feel more confident, where we're more visible as well, like what we allow other people to see from us is often also found a little bit more in the sun energy. And then we're moving on to the Venus sign. Well, the Venus sign is naturally important because Venus deals with all things beauty, all things aesthetic, so if you're looking at someone's Venus sign, that's what they find beautiful, but also the unique beauty that they have. And Venus really represents heavily like style and aesthetic, and it's just a very good planet to consider when you're looking into fashion and beauty and all things pretty. And when we're looking into the rising sign, it's another very good indicator because, the rising sign is literally our physical body, is literally what we, what we hold physically, what we show into the world physically. And that represents, like I said, the body, but often as well, like how we dress and the first impressions that we make. So how we like to come across might be found a little bit in our rising signs, or how we come across to people. So that would be the three outer kind of planets that I would advise you to consider. And someone made a very smart and valuable comment that the moon sign can be important too. The moon is more how we feel internally, but of course that can have an impact on what we show externally, right? So maybe your moon sign can even influence it a little bit as well, because depending how much you dress according to your feelings, right? Some people dress, boom, this is what I have to wear because they're very outward. But some people may consider more of their own feelings and want to take their moon sign into account as well, if that's important for you when it comes to your fashion and style. So that's just a little extra, but we're mainly focusing on Sun, Venus, and the rising sign in today's video. All right, Capricorn, we're going to start a little bit by looking into your element. So the element can be a very good starting point for those of you who may not know too much about astrology just yet. I always say to people, if they want to learn about astrology, I'm like, you can start, like most of us have seen Avatar, the last airbender. I always start with there because it's like, they have four elements and they kind of in that series, they describe a lot of like things that we also feel like we resonate with in astrology, right? Like the earthier, the earth, the fire, the water, and the air element. So I often name that as a little example. But you guys have the element of earth. And this is literally like the earth. It's grounded, it's stable, it's strong, it's not fast paced. It's a little bit more like the long term, you know? And when we're looking into beauty and fashion with an earth element, there is a very big emphasis on potentially prioritizing a bit of practicality. You might not, as a Capricorn, always want to be super flashy or want to have to wear things just for the sake of it looking good but not feeling good. Because as a Capricorn, you can be someone that's quite like, I need to get things done, I need to get going. So if your style, if your clothing would feel like in the way of that, that would be a very big trigger for you. Like, nope, we need to feel practical in a sense, right? So maybe as a Capricorn, because you also rule the 10th house of career, and it is no secret that you like things that might be a little bit expensive, a little bit bougie, then maybe as a Capricorn, you will prioritize nice fabrics or materials, or maybe you like to wear certain pieces on you that are a little bit more expensive or nice quality, and you take that with you in your other outfits. You know, I've seen that sometimes with Capricorns. Like some of them may really want to have like a piece of jewelry that may be more expensive, but they take with them for very long. Or maybe they will prefer clothing that's better quality, even if it's a bit more expensive, but they can take with them for a longer period of time. So that's something I've noticed with Capricorns personally. So yeah, maybe you also like to wear some timeless pieces, you know, some things, like I said, that you take with you for a longer time, or you might have certain clothing or a search for certain clothing that could go very well in any, you know, season or any year. Like I always see the Capricorns a little bit like the what is it, like the little black dress, like the Coco Chanel, where it's like the little black dress, like it would never go out of style, and it can be worn and, you know, dressed up or dressed down in so many ways. And I felt like, yeah, Capricorn would be kind of practical, and yeah, very practical with the things that they can choose at times. All right. So when it comes to your colors, I would definitely say less is more for Capricorns. Like, I don't think it necessarily always, well, it depends on your other placement, but like a lot of Capricorn energy, I would not say that adding a bunch of stuff onto your style, like colors, jewelry, crazy hair colors, might necessarily be the most complementary to your energy, because Capricorn is quite cleanly. You know, it's quite clean. It's quite like, you know, we can have a statement piece, but we don't have to overexposed, you know? It's quite elegant in that way. So with your colors, I would definitely say less is more. Like black and whites might be something that you just vibe really well with. Yeah, earthy tones can be very beautiful as well. Just the main thing is like not too much. Capricorn knows that it doesn't always have to be bold to be loud. Like it doesn't always have to be like that to make an impact. It's a little bit more subtle in their styles and in their beauty. So potentially, when we're talking about beauty, other than, the way you dress. Maybe it's also something you find in your um yeah, in your like makeup or things like that. Maybe you like a certain makeup look a certain way, and that's fine. And maybe you experiment with it a little bit, but in general, I feel like Capricorns, they kind of stick to what they know works for them. They're a little less changeable than some of the other signs, I would say. Okay, so another very important indicator is you're ruled by Saturn. Okay, and Saturn is such a cool planet to talk about. Honestly, Saturn is the planet of determination, of time, of karma and lessons, so to say. So when I look into Saturnian placements such as Capricorn, Aquarius was originally ruled by Saturn as well, but right now we acknowledge Capricorn being ruled by Saturn. And again, that timelessness really comes in strong for Capricorns because you guys can really age quite beautifully. I have two people very close to me that are Capricorn risings, my mom and my brother. And yeah, I've noticed with them, and I'm not going to talk about it too much because I'm supposed to talk about it in the personal observations. But I've noticed with them as well, like my mom ages very well. Like she doesn't get that much wrinkles. Like she just ages very well, and she doesn't necessarily wear much makeup or have to do much to have that blessing. And my brother as well, like he ages great too. Another like good example is like Ariana Grande and her ponytail. Literally, like that she's had since the womb. She is such a good example of a Capricorn rising because she has had that going for her, and literally it's stuck with her throughout her career and she's still wearing it, and she capitalized on that. So I think like sometimes Capricorns can even do that. Like they can use a part of their looks and even find ways to like make money with that or make it this like, yeah, almost like a business component if they want to, right? So with Ariana, it's that timeless that she has. Like she switches it up a little bit, but she keeps it and she's comfortable with that. Like maybe other placements would grow bored of wearing the same hairstyle. And for her, she really capitalizes on it. She made it her own. I think that's very cool and kind of Capricornian. Um, and like I Spice, I saw, was looking in some examples, is a Capricorn, and she did it with the orange hair. Like, of course, sometimes it's curly, sometimes it's long, but she finds a way to capitalize on that as well, which I think is pretty cool. So, where some people may say, oh, that isn't changing, it can really become this thing that's over time will get you to actually be noticed for it. So I don't know if you guys have had something like that, like you might always wear a certain necklace and not like to change it up a lot, or maybe you're comfortable sticking to a hair color, or you're comfortable sticking to a makeup look, and that suits your energy. That's actually in alignment with it. Okay. So maybe as well with your style, maybe you don't shift your style up way often, right? I do feel like maturity is another thing that you can grow into. Like maybe again, I like Ariana's current styles as an example because she used to go from dressing very girly and kind of like almost as if she still was loyal to her, a little bit of the roles that she took on in her career, like as from Sam and Cat, like in the beginning, and Victorious. And later on, right now, like she dresses very elegant. She dresses a little bit like it reminds me of the Coco Chanel, like a little bit of the Audrey Hepburn like influences she has, and I thought it was a good example for Capricorns liking to maybe dress maturely over time. Like maybe they will feel more comfort in that. But again, Saturn takes its time, so maybe that's not the way you've always wanted to dress, but it can really suit your energy quite beautiful. Your body. All right. So if we're looking into the Capricorn body, there's definitely an influence on the bone structure because you rule the bones in astrology, and you I often see that with Capricorns, like they just have quite delicate and like just well sculpted structures to their face, but often as well to their body. Like it sounds a bit it sounds a bit stupid to say like you're bony, but like sometimes it's like the pointed shoulders, or again like with Ariana Grande, you see that in her body as well. Like she has a lot of that. I saw like Central C as a guy. I was like, you look like how I feel like a Capricorn looks like. Just like you can see in his face like just very good like jaw lines, cheekbones. It's very Capricornian, so often you can work with that. You can often naturally have a bit of a model look because you have that timeless beauty. You have often good bone structure, right? Like Naomi Campbell, for example, one of the most famous models, is a good example of a Capricorn. And another element that I think is super interesting is that Capricorns, like when we're looking into your tarot, and a side that is less talked about, is that Capricorns have an incredible sex appeal. Like in tarot, you're the devil, but that sounds maybe, but it's not a bad thing. It's kind of just like you're bringing out in your energy, yeah, like a very strong magnetic attraction, a sex appeal. I think definitely Capricorns have that so strongly. Like Scorpios are known for it, but I think Capricorns and Scorpio have an equal amount of that when we're just looking into astrology. So, for example, like a Megan Fox, she has a Capricorn rising. And again, like there's potentially no better example than her when it comes to how much she was able to capitalize on her looks without necessarily having to do the most for it. Like how, like in Transformers and stuff, of course showing the body, but naturally being able to, yeah, have that impact on people with her beauty. Like a Kylie Jenner, for example, has a Capricorn rising, and it just gives people this influence at times where it's like people can really look up to them or see them as one of the best, because Capricorn also deals with excelling, right? Like doing something very well. Naomi Campbell, another example. So I often feel like they have a natural flair of like power, a flair of like excellence, a flair of like where people really think, whoa, but they're really, great, or they're really one of the best at this and this and that. Again, with my personal observations, I've seen that with my brother. He's a Capricorn rising, and he's always had this influence in the family of like, oh my God, he's very good at things, like a bit of favoritism as well. Um, but yeah, I've often seen that with him, like because he is naturally very good at the things he does. And yeah, I've seen that a little bit. I know it's not just style related, but it can be. If you work with that, it can make you stand out. I think Capricorn energy can definitely make you stand out, but it's a little bit more subtle. So that's what I have for you today, Capricorns. I hope you um, resonate, well, here with the style tips. Let me know if you do. And Yeah, I love you guys. Have a good day. Bye.